The U.S. Pentagon and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky admit they can't find $1 billion worth of weapons, equipment, and cash. Trump gets rough news in court and also from the state of Oregon. The story of Fani Willis' corruption down in Georgia continues to worsen, and Russia's former president threatens Ukraine with tactical nuclear weapons. As always, thank you guys so much for liking these videos because it helps me out more than you know, so thank you. A new lawsuit in Oregon seeks to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. The new suit bypassed all lower courts somehow and went right to the state Supreme Court. The filing says the people don't need to prove Donald Trump committed insurrection against the government or that he harmed the state of Oregon. They just want him removed. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to approve the resolution which accuses Hunter Biden of breaking federal law by ignoring a subpoena to appear for a closed-door deposition. This decision was not bipartisan in nature, as all Republicans voted yes and every Democrat voted no. The final say will now head to the Democrat-led Senate, which I believe will let Hunter Biden get away with whatever he wants. Also, Hunter Biden was in court today over tax fraud. He claimed he's innocent of not paying the government $1.4 million, even though the IRS has all the documentation against him. Last night was debate night, but all eyes were on the town hall for former President Donald Trump with Fox News. In my opinion, this was one of the best debates Trump has ever done. Not only did he answer questions from the audience with precision, he answered them in a way that couldn't possibly get him in more trouble. I think the highlight of the night is when Trump flat out stated the best form of retribution that he could make is to be super successful. Other notable moments was when he denied that he will be a dictator, stated political violence is never okay, and stated that he may start to like Chris Christie again now that he's dropped out of the race. Also, did you hear that Chris Christie was caught on a hot mic saying that Ron DeSantis is terrified and that Chris Christie is going to get smoked by Trump? She literally doesn't have a chance of winning. Now, this morning, Donald Trump appeared in court to face New York Judge Arthur Enegron in his civil fraud trial for closing arguments. Despite not being given permission to deviate from the facts, Trump spoke out in court stating, "What's happened here, sir, is a fraud on me. If I'm not allowed to talk about the political aspect, it really is a disservice. I would say that it's a big part of the case. I would say it's 100%. Later in the session, Enegron sighed when he gave Trump one final chance to speak, in which Trump stated, "I know this is boring to you. You have your own agenda. You can't listen for more than 1 minute." So he basically took the opportunity to put down the judge because I guess he feels like he's going to lose no matter what, and they're going to immediately appeal whatever comes out of this court filing. Now, I think it's also worth reporting that Judge Enegron did receive a bomb threat at his house earlier today, which is everything Trump and the rest of us stand against. Now, thankfully, it doesn't appear that there was an actual bomb, but regardless, nobody was injured. The person who made the threat is evil for doing this and makes Trump supporters look really bad. So don't do that. That is not the way to get things done properly. Now, the woman behind the case, New York's Attorney General Letitia James, has been exposed for visiting the Biden White House 3 times between April 2022 and August of 2023, the same time frame she launched her trial against Donald Trump. Now, wait a minute. Isn't this exactly what happened with Fani Willis down in Georgia? Now, if this isn't suspicious enough, David Williams, a man who worked on one of the loans in question, even admitted the valuation of a property comes down to a difference of opinion. So it's beyond me how he could make Trump pay $350 million just because he provided a subjective property valuation. Now, this is my opinion. It's the most simple example of politically motivated prosecution. But Letitia James ran on the promise of convicting Trump, and that's exactly what she's trying to do. But on his side of the table, He could lose his business, the ability to work in New York, and $350 million, which is no small amount of money. Again, he wasn't found guilty, and all of the people that testified said that they loved working with Donald Trump, and he paid back all the money on those loans. Now, isn't it funny to me how people scream Trump is corrupt, but they're usually corrupt themselves? For example, John Castro, the man who filed challenges in 27 different states to keep Donald Trump off the ballot, was just arrested for 33 counts of tax fraud. Castro owned a digital tax preparation firm which allegedly submitted fraudulent deductions and was caught back in 2018 by an undercover officer. So whatever they say that Donald Trump is doing, they are doing themselves. At least that's been the pattern for like a year now. Now, in regards to Trump's other legal woes in Georgia, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene just filed a complaint alleging that DA Fani Willis and prosecutor Nathan Wade engaged in criminal misconduct. Greene is now requesting an investigation into the alleged couple, citing recent reports suggesting Willis illegally weaponized and profitized her office. For example, Greene cited how Wade was paid roughly $700,000 and even invoiced the county claiming that he was working 24 hours a day. Yeah, maybe part of the day trying to bust Trump and the rest sleeping with this woman instead of his wife. Now, he's a low-level attorney who met with the White House quietly twice, got permission to go ahead and indict Donald Trump. Then he leaves his wife, starts sleeping with Fani Willis, and is paid $700,000. I'm telling you, something doesn't smell right here, and they are going to get to the truth. Now, this is scary. Russia's former president, Medvedev, a close ally of Vladimir Putin, is warning of nuclear response against Ukraine if they use any Western-supplied missiles to attack their missile sites in Russia. Medvedev stated they, Ukraine, risk running into the action of paragraph 19 of the fundamentals of Russia's state policy in the field of nuclear deterrence. Basically, the laws around war within Russia is that if their missile sites are attacked, they get to immediately retaliate on the state, city, or country that attacks them. Now, here's a big problem, and this might make your blood boil. I know it did mine. So, Volodymyr Zelensky now has this threat on top of something that's more likely. A new report out today from the Pentagon, the U.S. Pentagon, shows that Volodymyr Zelensky and Ukrainian officials, as well as the Pentagon, cannot account for over $1 billion in aid. This is American taxpayer money that was used, but not audited, to pay Ukrainian pensions, for weapons, for military drones, fighting ammunition, missiles, expensive night goggles, and more. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene commented on this billion-dollar debacle by stating, "We have sent Ukraine billions in liquid cash and billions more in weapons and ammunition. The kicker? We have no idea where it all went. Yet Speaker Johnson wants to tie securing America's border to more aid to Ukraine. I'm a hard no. Hashtag America first." So, you guys, the Biden administration has fought tooth and nail to not have to audit this money. And now what comes out? $1 billion of it is missing. And $1 billion is no small amount of money. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene makes a great point. What if instead of missing missiles, that $1 billion could have gone to feeding senior citizens or American children? What if that money was used to improve American lives instead of attempt to take Russian lives, but ultimately led to taking Ukrainian lives? I mean, it's just disgusting, right? $1 billion is missing. Conservative commentator Ian Miles Chong commented, U.S. military aid to Ukraine was poorly tracked. Senator Rand Paul warned about this and even tried to push an amendment in the military budget bill to make sure these weapons were tracked. but he was shot down. The White House and many military experts insisted that the weapons were all being tracked and fully accounted for. Well, that was a lie. The new report shows that 40,000 weapons are missing. 40,000. One person close to the Pentagon said flippantly, these weapons could be in the Middle East. They could be in the hands of ISIS for all we know. Now, please let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of the 40,000 missing weapons, night goggles, drones, and cash? Does Zelensky have this? Does Ukraine have this? Did this fall off of a truck somewhere? And why does nobody care where our money is going or whose hands these weapons have ended up in? I mean, seriously, think about it. The Biden White House complains about gun control and then literally lost 40,000 weapons. It's unbelievable. Such hypocrisy. A new consumer price index report is sparking doubt that the Federal Reserve will be able to lower interest rates in March of this year. Bloomberg News reported that economists expected core inflation to drop to 3.8, but instead it rose, which means inflation is rising again. LPL strategist Quincy Crosby reacted by stating, today's CPI report suggests that the Fed's initial rate cut may be later than the market is hoping for, like later 2024 or possibly even 2025. But with that being said, not everyone agrees. For instance, the Wall Street Journal argued that the Fed uses a different instrument to gauge inflation, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index. When looking at this tool, inflation appears to be sitting closer to 2.5%. So, you know, that they say you can make statistics prove any point you want. Now, combine that with the fact that the Federal Bank of New York President John Williams called the data a positive development, which has Wall Street believing that they're still right and that we will see a rate cut sometime in the month of March. Now, before you go, I want to remind you that you are amazing. I know that this is heavy news. I know that this is infuriating news, but stay positive, keep your heads up, and remember you're amazing. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to check out this interview. It was so good. Thanks so much, and I will see you on the next video.